Tonight's Rancho Cordova City Council meeting is being called to order. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gatewood.
Here.
Councilmember Budge. Here. Councilmember Terry.
Here.
Mayor Sander is absent, and this meeting was also noticed at a location in Milwaukee, which he is not at due to a conflict. So he will not be joining us from that location. Vice Mayor Pulapati.
Here. So the city can ask the city clerk to announce the meeting's video recording and playback schedule.
Yes. The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will replay on Thursday, July 18th at 9 a.m. and Friday, July 19th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. The meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. A DVD copy can also be ordered from the City Clerk's Department, and a webcast of this meeting will be available on the city's website within 48 hours of adjournment of this meeting.
Thank you. I call Jen Larrett to lead the pledge, and I'd invite the audience to remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with me. Gracious Father, may this day of work have the blessing of your touch. Anoint the plans so that even the smallest of tasks set before us brings you honor. May all the work and service we do and the way we do it bless you and those we serve. Bless this council and the community they serve with wisdom, discernment, commitment, courage, and strength. Continue to cover them with your peace, love, and guidance. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Ruby. Okay, for the first presentation, I'd like to ask Lorianne, Mrs. Carl, to deliver the spring service presentation.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council, and guests tonight. My name is Lorianne Carl, and tonight I'm happy to present an update of our very first ever Spring Service Day that was held on May 18th this year. I'm also honored to be joined by several community leaders tonight, including our committee members, Jennifer Larrett, Sandy Runner, Rebecca Thomas, our supporting staff, Matt Bulin, Sage White, and Danielle Hale, our Rancho Cordova Food Locker Program Manager, Inez Shed, our community volunteer and resident, Anna Myers, and of course, our title sponsors from Clutch, Missy McDougall, Atlas, Rob Sipe, and Brian Waters. So what I would like to highlight, in addition to our impact slide, is that we achieved our three main goals for our Spring Service Day. We engaged with existing and new volunteers in the community. We promoted our existing community service organizations and nonprofits, and we also fostered civic engagement and pride in the community. So now I want you to hear from others than just myself, so I'm going to turn it over to Jen Larrett to say a few words, followed by others from the group.
So I'm representing Leadership Class 14, and our class leadership project that year was going to be putting together a Spring Service Day. Unfortunately, we were the COVID class, so we got about halfway through the class when we were had to pivot our project, and so this was kind of like a dream for us to be able to really like push this forward. So along with Vice Mayor Pulapati, who was also part of that class. So we had several other committee members who couldn't be here with us tonight who were also part of that class. So just on behalf of Class 14, we would just really want to extend our deepest gratitude for being able to have this day and the support that we received from the city of Rancho Cordova. It meant a tremendous amount to us because it is a component that we really wanted to see within our city. And, you know, I think really what this was about for us was that we volunteer all the time, but really wanted to have a way for people to connect with our existing groups and reconnecting our volunteers, because since COVID, we have found that there has been a break between volunteerism and our nonprofits. And it was really about trying to make those relationships move forward and for people to understand and realize that we have volunteer opportunities all year long. And hopefully they were able to attend a project that was interesting to them, that they would maybe want to continue that relationship with those nonprofits. So thank you very much on behalf of Class 14 for all the support that we had in making this day happen.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Thomas, and I am part of the planning committee as well for the Rancho Cordova Spring Service Day. But my representation is a resident, lived here for 20 years. I work at Blue Shield, so very close by, and my husband works for the city. So very connected to Rancho Cordova, and have been really excited about doing something like this with the city. Have seen, just some other cities do it, and it's just that kind of civic pride. Just picking back off of Jen, as a resident, was really excited for the city to really just put this on. I felt like our kickoff was exciting. We had the band. We had a lot of things that I felt people really felt the sense of Rancho Cordova pride. So I loved that. Was really happy to be part of the planning committee. I even didn't know about some of the nonprofits that we have here in the city. So that was really, eye-opening to me. And so I know that it was a good opportunity for the residents of Rancho Cordova to feel this, see this, get more excited. And I really hope just activate more volunteerism for the city. So thank you for all the work you guys did and hosting.
Hello, my name is Inez Shed, and I'm the Program and Outreach Manager for the Rancho Cordova Food Locker. And we were one of the sites that hosted volunteers on the day of service in May. We hosted the Rancho Cordova football team, and we had 50 members come to our location. And today I'm honored to speak about the incredible impact that the Rancho Cordova football team had on our community. On this day, the team didn't just show up, they showed up with heart and determination and a deep sense of community spirit. And these young athletes stepped off of the field and into the Rancho Cordova food locker, and with that one goal in mind, and that was to make a difference, and they made a huge difference on that day. Together, they assembled 1,200 toiletry bags for our unhoused neighbors. Each bag wasn't just filled with essential items, but it was filled with care, compassion, and a message that our community stands with these people during their time of need. The toiletry bags were more than just practical items. They are symbols of dignity and hope. Symbols of dignity and hope. Additionally, the team packed numerous grocery bags for distribution to our guests who rely on the food locker for their daily sustenance. Each grocery bag packed by these dedicated young individuals represents a lifeline for families and individuals facing food insecurity. The bags will help ensure that no one in our community goes hungry. The efforts of the Rancho Cordova football team have set a powerful example of how teamwork extends beyond the field. Their dedication and hard work on Rancho's Day of Service has not only provided immediate relief, but to many have been inspired to take action and to support their community. The football team enjoyed their experience at the food locker so much that they signed up to volunteer every Friday throughout the summer. And they brought team members and family members. We thank the Rancho Cordova football team for their contribution has made a lasting impact, and their spirit of service has touched the lives of many individuals. I want to thank Lorianne for helping create this incredible day, and I think that this demonstrates when we come together as a community, we can do remarkable things. Let us all be inspired by this example and continue to find ways to serve and uplift one another. Together, we can build a stronger, more compassionate Rancho Cordova.
Good evening. I'm Annaline Myers, over 35-year resident of Rancho Cordova, and I was a volunteer along with a couple of my friends at this Spring Service Day. I loved how many options there were for volunteer opportunities. There was something for everyone, all level of skill and abilities. We volunteered at the library to have a nice and quiet, low-impact volunteering, since one of the people I brought with me and I had previously worked the day before at a Habitat for Humanity build, so we wanted something low-key. I enjoyed the kickoff event because it also gave people an option to check out the plethora of nonprofits that were here that were participating that day, so they could see where they could potentially volunteer at in the future as well, other than just on that one particular day. So it was a great event, and I hope it becomes an annual event or even something that happens more than once a year. Maybe it can be on a different scale throughout the year, so we have one large event like that and then maybe a bunch of smaller ones, things like bringing Creek Week back and stuff like that. So I just really enjoyed the opportunity and to be able to bring other people into that and just kind of see what a difference we can make in one day, and then also be able to do that more in the future. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Missy McDougall, and I'm here representing Clutch. We are one of the proud title sponsors for this inaugural event, and it was a true pleasure going right along with what we believe in as a company. Founded by two local women, believe if you hire good people, you do good work, and you make good impact. And that was just a beautiful reflection of what this day was. We were so proud to sponsor, as well as have volunteers in place, and to get to know this incredible event that you would never know it was our first year. Rocked it, knocked it out of the park. It was a pleasure to be involved, and we look forward to being involved again. Thank you.
Good evening, Rob Sipe with Atlas Disposal, co-sponsor with Clutch. It was a great opportunity to serve alongside many of the residents. The project that we and our team served was the Cordova Gardens beautification. I see many of the people in the room tonight we served alongside that project. But it was real pleasure and joy for us to engage with a lot of the residents serving the community. And thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to being involved in the future. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. And Vice Mayor and Council, we're going to finish off with a fabulous video that was captured our Spring Service Day. So enjoy.
We have over 300 volunteers here today from all over Rancho Cordova, taking on 15 projects throughout the city. And we are here on Rancho Cordova's kickoff 2024 Spring Service Day. There's so many great projects going on here today that it really just sort of makes your heart swell with pride at what a community is capable of when it comes together.
Rancho Cordova is a super innovative city. To make this all happen, just seeing all the smiling faces coming together to make our community a better place. And we're proud to be a sponsor of the first ever Rancho Cordova Volunteer Day.
We have people from all walks of life coming together with one shared goal, to spread joy and make some new friends along the way.
We're at City Hall right now, and so this portion of it is the collection drive and assembly works. We have multiple projects going on here, focusing on helping our homeless students and foster youth. Everything from hygiene kits, meals, socks, sweatshirts. We also have a donation of large full-size items for families who are lacking in those supplies.
The Rancho Cordova Food Locker was absolutely thrilled to get involved with this project. And we've got the entire football team from Cordova High School, and we've also got some gentlemen from Jesuit High School. They have been sorting canned goods for our brown bags, and they've been making toiletry bags for our unhoused. It's been an amazing project, and we are so grateful for this day.
So today at Cordova Gardens, we've been on bark patrol, moving bark all around campus. We're really refreshing the campus, really giving it a nice shine and sparkle, really coming together on one day to celebrate service.
Atlas Disposal is proud to be a member of the Rancho Cordova community. We've been serving in this community for the last 26 years. Our employees live here, work here, play here. Their children go to school here. So we feel that there's a sense of pride that the students can feel in their school as well as in their community.
We rebuilt 14 garden beds
These garden beds are used for our lunch program, which is a farm to fork program where we take the produce from our garden and we do a lunch 2 days a week where we make soups and salads and sandwiches, and we serve to our senior population.
They were telling us that they lost a lot of trees because of the wind. Getting these new trees in, it's new shade, it's a new look. It's a new fresh beginning for the park.
I've worked here for 18 years and I live here, and the volunteers that have come here today, I didn't know. So we got a chance to really engage with new residents that we would have never been able to meet. And now they've connected with other organizations, and now everybody can be service-minded.
I know it's been a really cool experience. My kids are out here, my husband's out here, and we're giving, we're serving, we're one big community. What can we do to make this city better? So I'm gonna just encourage you, next year, sign up early, bring your family out, grab a project. It honestly is so fulfilling. Be here next year.
Thank you, team.
How absolutely delightful. Thank you all. What a great presentation.
Yeah, I love the cat giveaway. That's the best part, where we gave the cats away. You brought in a free soda, you get a cat. Listen, that we neuter them and we just give them away at the door. So you give us a 6-pack and you get I love the program. We're giving away all the cats in Rancho.
Garrett, we're having a little problem with that.
It looks
There's
like
a credibility gap.
It looks like a really fun event and a fun video, but I do know the amount of hours and the effort it took to do this. So thank you all for all your support to do this. And we're looking forward to a better, bigger, bigger one next year. So yeah, get your volunteers early and we'll go reach out to as many companies as we can. With that, we move, council members, anyone wants to say anything on this? Okay. We move on to public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker card to the city clerk. For items on the agenda, speakers will be called by the vice mayor at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers are encouraged to keep comments to 3 minutes or less and to state name and community of residence. Under the provisions of the California Government Code, the City Council is prohibited from discussing or taking immediate action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergent nature or the need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We do. We'll start with Sarah Alzanoun. Following Sarah will be Jessica Rago. Following Jessa will be Lisa Mata.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hi, council members. My name is Sarah Alzanoun, and I have been a resident in Sacramento County for the last 33 years. I'm a civil servant for the state of California, and I've been working in Rancho Cordova for the state of California for the last 7 years. I'm right here on a Trade Center Drive. I'm here yet again to discuss how we can move forward with a ceasefire proclamation in Gaza and divestments in weapons manufacturers. Today's victims in Gaza, including hostages, could have been saved by yesterday's ceasefire. It's important to understand that Palestinians have been experiencing a long history of bloodshed, illegal occupation, and ethnic cleansing. As a Palestinian American, I'm not a stranger to witness these extremely horrendous impacts, as I used to live there. Gaza is essentially a besieged, large concentration camp, and Israel controls every aspect of Palestinian life, clearly, as the government has the ability to cut off their water, electricity, food, and telecommunications. I do not know right now how many family members I have left. More are dead than alive. And minute by minute, I'm under a lot of psychological distress, wondering what lies for my family the next day. Every day is worse than the day before. Every time I come here, more people, more civilians, and more children have died. The Lancet, which is one of the most respected and credible medical journals, estimates that the war on Gaza has killed 186,000 Palestinians, which is 7 to 9% of Gaza's population. My family was given orders to flee to the south. They were bombarded on the way. My aunt and uncle sought medical attention, and those hospitals were later bombed. My eyes open in the morning, and I can't help but think of how many of theirs haven't. I look at the ceiling above me, and I can't help but think of all the ones that have collapsed on them. I stare at my hands, and I think of how useless they feel at a time like this. On October 26th, I found out 7 of my relatives who share my last name were killed. I'd like to read each name to you. Ahmed Al-Zanoon, age 16. Shaza Al-Zanoon, age 16. Hannah Al-Zanoon, age 15. Karima Al-Zanoon, age 14. Saja Al-Zanoon, age 10. And Yasin, age 1. These were all kids. They had hopes and dreams that were stolen from them in the name of collective punishment. These are 7 of the 56 total family members that I've lost. Humanity still has a chance, and I believe that's essential for the United States to take a leadership role and address this humanitarian crisis, and that we work towards a more stable and peaceful future. I know we say City Hall doesn't deal with foreign affairs, but the city of Sacramento has sister cities. We have direct relations to those congressmen and women who support House resolutions and bills that directly affect foreign policy. We say City Hall may not be complicit in genocide, but I mean, Aerojet is based here in Rancho Cordova.
Please wrap up your comments.
I will end it with this. If we can't at least consider a symbolic ceasefire resolution or proclamation, can we perhaps not invest in mass death? I will end with this quote. If your moral compass is attuned to the suffering of only one side, then your compass is broken, and so is your humanity. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Jessa Rago.
Good evening. My name is Jessa Rigo. I live in Folsom and I work here in Rancho. I think this might be my 6th time coming back to speak about the ceasefire resolution that we've presented and have been asking the council to put on the agenda. And, I'm pretty sick of coming here. I'm sick of taking a lot of my personal time. For all this activism, it'd be nice if we didn't have to do it, but we do. And, trying to write a really concise, moving, 3-minute comment. So today I didn't prepare anything. I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff. I'm sick of doing this, but I'm still seeing every day, my tax money paying for bombs that we make locally, that my family works on making, that are going to kill my friends' families, children. And so I can't stop. And part of what I do when I come here is to address before God and my community the lies that are going around. I'm really concerned about the lies. I'm really concerned about Islamophobia. Checking my time. I'd like to just ask you to think about farmers. We have a lot of agriculture here in California. I think we all know some farmers. I know farmers. I work with farmers. Think about our Sacramento River Valley up here, Butte, Yuba, Sutter, Tehama. There's a lot of olive orchards. And when I look at our landscape and I see what's going on in the West Bank of Palestine, these olive farmers getting shot, attacked, having their land stolen since before the Nakba that I discussed last time I was here in 1948. It looks so much the same, and it just makes me think, what would happen here if someone came onto a farmer's land and shot him while he was harvesting his olives, tending to his crops? What if that started happening a bunch? What if a bunch of Europeans came here and started shooting a bunch of farmers? What do you think would happen? I don't know why we think we're so different than Palestinians. Some people are saying that the keffiyeh is a terrorist scarf and that everyone who wears one is a terrorist. This is ridiculous. The lies are ridiculous. This pattern is olive leaves. This pattern is fishnet. This is about being connected to the land. These lines are trade routes. It's an incredibly lucrative trade and resource area, and that's why it's a political disaster. Next time, so today I talked about Palestinian farmers. Next time I'm going to talk about Palestinian scientists. Thank you.
Next speaker is Lisa Mata.
My name is Lisa Matta. I've lived in Sacramento County for 28 years. I'm a volunteer with the United Sovereign Americans, not a spokesperson. United Sovereign Americans is a nationwide organization with thousands of active volunteers in over 20 states. Today, I come to you as a concerned citizen, sharing alarming information about our state's voter database, uncovered through thousands of hours of research conducted by highly qualified and credentialed data teams. While the numbers are staggering and somewhat difficult to comprehend, one thing is clear: they don't add up. Just like your checkbook must balance, so must our votes. If you had 10,000 fewer dollars in your bank account than you had deposited, you would certainly want to know what happened. If a company that has that significant a discrepancy in their books, they'd most certainly conduct an audit. In fact, yearly audits are required by law for all public companies. Our audit of the 2022 election, using only official data provided by our state election officials, shows that the 2022 elections may not have been accurate or legally compliant. We are not saying one candidate won over another or that any election should be overturned. The state's official data from certified elections shows the votes are counted as one. The votes as counted were not all valid and accurate under the law. Tonight we'll present you with a resolution demanding an end to the inaccuracy and uncertainty plaguing our elections, along with a summary of our findings and the laws that apply. We're happy to meet with you and go over this information, including more detail about the specific findings. If you have any questions that I cannot answer right now, I will commit to getting you the answers in writing from the United Sovereign Americans executive team as soon as possible. This data and our request for an investigation have been shared with state election officials and law enforcement. It's essential that you, as our representatives, make it clear that these must be taken seriously. Tonight we come to you, our closest elected representatives, for support and action. We're asking that you listen to the resolution, ask questions if you have them, and then vote promptly for its passage. Your action on this resolution will illustrate your dedication and support to the concerns of your constituents and your country. Thank you. Our next three speakers will read the resolution in 3 parts, and our final speaker will conclude our presentation.
Next speaker is Naomi Bogdana Enos.
My name is Naomi Ennis. I've lived in Sacramento County for 20 years. Resolution for a legally valid 2024 general election. Whereas it is a recognized civil right in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections, quote, and the right of suffrage can be denied by a debasement or dilution of the weight of a citizen's vote, just as effectively as by wholly prohibiting the free exercise of the franchise, end quote. U.S. Supreme Court, Reynolds versus Sims, 1964. Whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections are accurate and free from distortion or manipulation. Quote, Congress seeks to guard the election of members of Congress against any possible unfairness by compelling everyone concerned in holding the election to a strict and scrupulous observance of every duty devolved upon him while so engaged. The evil intent consists in disobedience to the law. End quote. U.S. Supreme Court in Coy 127 U.S. 731 1888. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following 4 tenets of an election are upheld. 1, the voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, 1993. 2, votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. 3, the number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. 4, there can be no more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system. Help America Vote Act, 2002. Whereas, open source audit of the California 2022 general election conducted by California citizens has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including 5,886,198 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the California State Voter Roll Database. 2,776,939 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrations. 123,785 more votes counted than voters who voted. No one knows who cast them. 2,776,849 apparent voting violations are in excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. The maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general election in California was 90.
Please wrap up your comments.
Certification as defined by law and attestation of accuracy and compliance appears to have been fraudulent and illegal. Next, speaker 3.
Elena Troncon.
Good evening. My name is Elena Trujan. I've lived in Sacramento County for 34 years. Whereas this findings trample legal accuracy requirements of the voting system during the federal election. Accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by a voter without error. Whereas the intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted. Certification of an election that varies from the law is an abridgment of the civil rights of the citizens, a fraud ab initio. United States versus Throckmorton, 1878. Quote, from time immemorial, an election to public office has been, in point of substance, no more and no less than the expression by qualified electors of their choice of candidates. End quote. U.S. Supreme Court, United States versus Classic 313 U.S. 299, 1941. Whereas the 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of the guaranteed protection of our natural rights under a government duly and provably chosen by us, the American people, resulting in an incalculable damage to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of this United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility by joining us in demanding a valid 2024 general election that upholds these existing laws and equitable principles of law. Proof of citizenship, identity, and eligibility required to register and vote, not anonymous attestation. Voter rolls certified accurate and available for public review and challenged 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to a qualified official at each polling place. Hand-marked, secure ballots similar to currency, where imaging technology is used for tabulation, the security features must be verifiable in ballot image. 4, systems, machines, security measures, infrastructure, and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention regarding risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. 5, adjudication must be signed off by party, candidate, and trained citizen witness after being given full and effective observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must be allowed immediate access to ballots, ballot images, and cast vote records, CVRs. Thank you.
Next speaker is Stan McNichol.
Thank you, council members, for putting your lives forward for the integrity and morality of this nation. Thank you. The certification by law for a valid 2024 general election, we've heard 5 points. These are 6 through 9 more with a resolution statement. And I'm Stan McNichol. I've been in Sac County for 23 years. 6, ballots, regardless of entry source, election operations and systems must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including auditability and witnessed transfer with paper records. 7, a NIST compliant, randomized, statistically valid end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level of all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment. Section 2 must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured, and bonded security, forensics, or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation will include the vote count, real physical ballots, adjudication, cast vote records, CVRs, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. 8, if the total of unique variances above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held in the state for those candidates affected, unless the issues can be provably corrected by a manual hand count and a full review of the records. 9, waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance from registration through certification can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. So be it resolved that the Rancho Cordova City Council members stand in support with the concerns and remedies presented here. Thank you for being here. That's really significant, more than we realize. We implore the County Board of Supervisors, California legislature, federal legislatures, law enforcement,
Please wrap up your comments.
federal and state prosecutors, judges, and both California Secretary of State and county registrars of voters to cooperate and fulfill these with firm requests of the people, and I thank you.
The last speaker is Mark Mata.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. It's a blessing to be with you. Thank you. Continuing to read, my name is Mark Mata. I've lived in Sacramento County, Rancho Cordova specifically for 24 plus years. And I'm also a volunteer, not an official spokesperson of United Sovereign Americans. What you've heard tonight is a culmination of thousands of hours of work by our highly qualified and credentialed volunteer data teams from California and across the country. It's a powerful written resolution that you should have in your hand, outlining massive inaccuracies in our 2022 election from registration through certification. In it, you heard us ask for meaningful remedies that will proactively protect the validity of the 2024 general election for all Americans, nonpartisan thing. In fact, the resolution cited many U.S. Supreme Court precedents that support the need for such actions because currently laws are being ignored. There's no blame, it's just a fix. We want to fix this. Bottom line is the checkbook is not balancing, and we need certainty. The voting system, which controls our most vitally important right, the right to choose our representatives, is not producing accurate, noteworthy results. Do you think that these anomalies within our election system, a system which is part of our national security infrastructure, should continue to be ignored? Let's step back for a second and look at the big picture. Large numbers of Americans, including many right here in California, have questions about the trustworthiness of our elections. I think that we can all agree, and we wish that this was not the case, but official data shows that these concerns are valid, and the law says that resolving them is essential in securing our liberty. How much is it costing us not to fix the problem? How much is it costing in terms of gross domestic product, our military or foreign policy, our health, the self-esteem of our children, the voting and young people? How much is it costing in terms of our dignity to keep contending or fighting each other? The cost is immeasurable, so we urge you to please agree by putting the resolution on the agenda. I think you have to do that. I don't think you can approve an agenda, a resolution is presented at the time. I think it has to go onto the agenda. But we ask that you would please put the resolution onto the agenda for next city council meeting and vote in support, please, of simply fair, honest, and valid elections. Our website showcases our initiatives nationwide and some extremely informative videos revealing anomalies and apparent violations of the law. The website is unite, the numeral 4, freedom.com, uniteforfreedom.com. And we urge you to take a look at that. Again, unite, the number 4, freedom.com. We appreciate the gift of your time tonight. And if I can answer any questions, I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, that's all the public comment that we have for this evening.
With that, we can go to council reports, and I would ask Councilmember Gatewood to go first.
All right. First off, I don't think we had a meeting. So first off, Shelley, Lee, Adam Lorette, and all the people that help out with Cordova Community Council. 4th of July was amazing. Always is amazing. I got to hear my family called over the intercom that Garrett's throwing candy again. Dang it. And it's hilarious because they literally have a call sign for me now. I appreciate that. Won't stop, can't stop. Very exciting. Lots of people out there. Even though it was hot, people are still engaged, and it's always great to see our community out. Fireworks were amazing. Lee, wherever you are right now, thank you for all the fireworks you do. Adam, of course, you know, the counterpart that's going to be taken over soon. You have big shoes to fill as you take it to that next level. Sorry, Jen. Second thing is I went to Pints and Pilots and the air show, and I have got to believe that Donald married up because his wonderful spouse throws together literally the largest event I've seen in the region. And
we're gonna get matching shirts that say that.
yeah,
Okay.
without a question.
No. I married up. He
Yeah,
did too.
listen, I'm not lying. I married up too. But she did an amazing job. Thank God we have such a great person there engaged, because that air show is signatory for our city, and it's just a fun to go watch. And when they do it at night, it makes sense. When you do it during the day, it's horrifying and horrible, and it's 1,000 degrees, and I don't understand it. But at night, it makes total sense. So I don't know how we can do more nights, but nights are always awesome. And the fireworks show at the end with everything else is just awesome. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that puts in the time, the air show. Once again, Cordova Community Council, thank you for all that you donate. Football players were there making burgers. If you had them, they were delicious. Thank you for Madeline for showing up and dragging her son's football team, which is the Cordova Lancers, in to do it. Just awesome. I want to say a big shout out and congratulations. Vanessa D. Coya is our new Sacramento County School Board, who I supported, and she got elected, and she got her swearing in. She is part of a black sorority that I did some speeches for, and it was awesome to watch them because they all came dressed in their gear, which is red. So they all wear red dresses with red fans, and I was like, that's a lot of fans. But her sister that swore her in is actually a municipal judge. And then they had a bunch of other judges that were showing up there to swear her in that day. And so it was just, it's cool to see all these really people that are engaged in the community all in one spot. And there had to be like 35 of them that showed up. And I haven't seen that much for a school board member that's going to be punished for the rest of her life. I warned her, this is not a fun group. No one ever likes this job. But she got engaged. Yeah.
Not as.
It's not as bad. Oh, well, it's, you know.
Jen's got it way worse.
Oh my God, Jen's got terrible. I don't know how we tricked her, but it's still, we still love her. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about it because the event, you can turn on Channel 13 News. It's very exciting. If you haven't heard, Rancho Cordova won $25 million for the backside of the road. We're going to have a bunch of people talking about it for the connector, which is the freeway that will eventually be a 4-lane road on the backside of Rancho Cordova. And it'll go all the way through Rancho Cordova, alleviating traffic so not everyone has to drive down Sunrise. It is an extremely dangerous road. Even some of the council members here have got to experience that extremely dangerous piece of road. And the fact that we were able to...
You mean on Grant Line?
Yeah, so dangerous. It's called Blood Alley for a reason. It's dangerous. And thank God, blessings that we were able to get. Now we're up to almost $26 or $27 million this year, and we have a line on another $250 million. So we may, in a year's time, be able to get $300 million. And I just want to be big fat. I'll thank them in person, but across the board, Republicans and Democrats showed up. So we have Doris Matsuri, Ami Berra, Kevin Kiley, and I'm missing that one more name. But if you go to the thing, you can see it on TV. But yeah, all our congressmen, assemblymen, even most of our county supervisors support us turning this into a 4-lane road and fixing the danger zone, which it is. And to see them actually stepping up, they told me it's about $300 million to get the road fully built. And God willing, please, 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 we might be able to get over 2/3 that in the next, this year. It's all lined up. There's not a lot of people fighting against us, and there's not a lot of road projects that are ready to go. So I'm really hoping that we can put this one in the book so I can get off this board. That was a little dig right there at the end. But congratulations to Rancho. Right now we have $27 million in the bank, and really a bird in hands for two in the bush. And we have a direct line and another $25 million, which is coming in. Hopefully my brother over in STA will help champion that through, because we're going to need you, Donald. And then that'd be an extra $25 million.
It's got to pass it. They got to pass a new tax measure.
Well, I'm just hoping. Listen.
It's not going on the ballot this year.
Well, I think that would be a bad year to do it. All right, that's it. Thank you, Siri.
Thank you, Councilmember Budge.
Big press conference on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Will you be there?
Heck yeah.
Good.
I'm emceeing it.
Oh, good.
Which means it will be ridiculous.
It will.
Because I'm going to entertain myself.
JT.
Oh, I am. Thank you for bringing that up. 26 million. I'm going to do a lap, and I'm going to be ridiculous because, you got. I really wish you'd show up one time, but I appreciate you.
Okay. This has been an incredible 2 weeks. But starting off with the mundane, I just want to point out that the organization that periodically sends out letters that look like they came from your local electric or gas utility, PG&E or Roseville Electric or whatever, are back in your mailboxes again and inviting you to go with them. So I would just encourage everybody who sees this to be sure and read this carefully before you do anything about signing up with these people. Just make sure you know what you're getting into. Secondly, Garrett, you are so correct. This 4th of July, despite the horrible heat, and we just totally applaud everybody who showed up and came out and was in the parade or watched from the sidelines. Parades in Rancho Cordova are always so wonderful because you see a lot of people watching the parade, and you feel certain that in their home country they could never have come out to celebrate a parade like this. And it always really inspires me about why we do this and why we continue to do this for people. I did not go on Wednesday, but the people who saw the Ladies of Motown said it was absolutely terrific. And of course, on Thursday night, all of us rocked out to ABBA. And you can go with ABBA all night long, and we did. The air show. Now that we've spent today listening to everybody going back home, but I have to tell you, the genius concept of having Frecce Tricolore come was just the absolute icing on the cake. It's the first time in over 30 years, as you all know. They were here for not just flyovers and a couple of air shows in this country, but also to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Canadian Air Force. And part of what makes them so different, you know, we're all used to having the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels, you know, rock us out of our seats. Well, Freccia Tricolore has a completely different philosophy. They truly are acrobats. And the point is they always want their aircraft to be visible. So you don't see them run out to Placerville and take a turn around and come back in at Lord knows what speed or how many decibels. But they always want to surround their audience with the beauty of their performance. They turned 100 years old in 2023, and the three colors of the Italian flag for them signify passion, pride, and duty. They are so proud of being Italian and bringing a completely different philosophy to the whole concept of air shows. As a matter of fact, these people have almost 100 different clubs that support them all over Italy. It's, you know, it's not like just being an air show enthusiast. People actually organize themselves into clubs to go out and make sure they attend all of the air shows. So we are presented this year's beautiful, it's not really a plaque or a portrait, but this is their presento this year. And the seal on the table, every year, they do a different logo for their performance. And so this is this year's performance for 2024. So we thank everybody who worked on this air show, the over 1,000 volunteers. We thank the gods that be that the weather on Saturday was absolutely delightful for the first time in 2 weeks. And it wasn't too bad yesterday either. But this was a perfectly marvelous experience. And I know that obviously attending at night doing this at night gave them opportunities that we didn't have before, between the 500 drones and all of the fireworks and blowing up, as Ralph, the old air boss, used to say, blowing up all the fairy shrimp out there. Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the funnier videos I've ever seen. But we just want to thank everybody for a magnificent, spectacular, visually exciting, educationally moving, and just really a completely unique air show this year.
Thank you. Councilmember Terry?
A lot of repeats, I would say. 4th of July was great. It was really, 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 really hot. So I did not go to the carnival or anything, but the parade was nice. It is funny, though, to get kind of to the end of the parade and realize that when you're more in the front, you don't really get to see it. So it was fun to be in the parade. It's a little disappointing that as we like finish up and you see things come by, it's like, oh, wow, look at all the things that were in that parade that I didn't get to see. But it's also a really great time to go over and visit mi Rancho and get and stock up for the holiday too, because I don't get out there as often as I'd like. But thank you to all the volunteers and our police force and everybody else. It was a good and safe weekend. I know we're going to talk about fireworks and some other things here, but just appreciate all the overtime and everybody that put in, even the people that didn't get paid that worked really hard to make that a success. With the heat, I will also say that, and my wife setting up a small city out at Mather, we disappeared to the Bay Area during one of those weekends when it was 114. And so didn't have other community events that the following 4th of July. But the air show was fantastic this year. As somebody who doesn't enjoy the heat, if you haven't noticed it from what I'm talking about, I was very nervous about holding this in the middle of July at all. but luckily we got just a bit of a snap under from the 113 down to 100 and then 101 on Sunday, which made for much more comfortable evenings. But yeah, the past week of the Italian team being here has just been fantastic, and the reception that they had on Thursday, the performances that they've done over the weekend, it's a really special thing. I mean, as somebody who recently during COVID, I know our city manager knows this, I got very into the Netflix F1 series. If you haven't seen it, Ride to Survive or Drive to Survive. But watching all of these places all over the world have their races and have their national team, and to see some of these, one time in my life, I've seen the Red Arrows buzz the Thames for the 90th anniversary of the RAF. Didn't even know what I was looking at until afterwards. And to get that team here and to be one of a handful of places in this continent to get to see that team and get to host them here, I think was really, really special. And then honestly, for those of you who don't know, we also lucked out on a couple other things. The Thunderbirds weren't coming here 2 months ago, right? So that got added on. And then my lovely wife helped out at an air show in Florida and saw that drone show only just a couple of months ago and convinced them to come here. So the things that got put into what you saw the last couple of nights, a lot of that was stuff that, people, ask a lot of times, what my wife does, and I tell her that she works for the air show, and they're like, is that a full-time job? Like, yeah, and they work with a lot of other places to get these performers and other performances to come here. And because of the way that they've hosted, and this city and this community has hosted, teams like the Thunderbirds, they chose to come back here on a moment's notice when they didn't have something to do for the weekend. And they chose to come here in 115-degree weather, right? Those things don't have air conditioning. so to choose to come out here. But it was a really great show. And I just thank all of the volunteers and everybody that are still out there right now tearing that down, because it all has to go away by Wednesday. So just because everybody left last night, there are still hundreds of people that are helping finish up and get rid of what was there and get ready for next year. So, between the service day that we just talked about, and then you look at what just happened, if you take the 2 days of 4th of July and the air show, I bet you're pushing 150, 175,000 people that attended things in this city in the last 10 days. And it took hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteers to host them and do all of these things, plus all of the countless staff hours that went into it, including, I know, following us around at different things to make sure that we have cars and we have talking points. Great job, Linda, to do all of that. And those people don't get those holidays because they have to work for us and to do these things. So I really appreciate everybody that gave up part of their holiday to do it. That's it for me.
Thank you. So as my colleagues have mentioned, the last 2 weeks have been a lot of celebrations. The fireworks in the sky were amazing, both from the 4th of July and from the air show. So they were really spectacular events, and just calling them spectacular events is an understatement. I mean, the air show, though, it was, I think it was a once-in-a-lifetime event, watching planes go off with the fireworks and the drones. If you've missed it, I'm sorry. I don't know if we can get that back. And it was a beautiful day on Saturday, and like Councilmember Bud said, right, everything kind of worked for us. The stars aligned. It was a beautiful day. We had breeze, and it was a wonderful family event. So I'd really like to thank the organizers, the volunteers, and the sponsors for making Rancho Cordova a great place to be and for making these wonderful events happen. As we've already spoke about this, we're going to try and do more of these events for continue to make Rancho Cordova a great place to live, work, and play. Another event that I did attend out of this was the Sacramento Valley Korean American Inaugural Celebration event on Sunday. It was a really well-attended event with a lot of community leaders from the Korean community, including the Consulate General, who attended. They were talking about how they're being in the community and serving back, and how the city of Rancho Cordova works in collaboration with them. So that was another wonderful event that I attended on Sunday. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to the city manager for his report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think I will just, as my role as kind of here, I will also highlight the things that our staff team did in kind of making those events happen, and really spectacular events, and really want to recognize our public works team, our police department, all of the folks who put both the 4th of July, we had a nice city float for 4th of July that the team put together and participated in and showed up for, and so really do appreciate it. I think we're, the only recommendation is we need more water guns for the float for next year, so I think we're working on that aspect of it, but I really appreciate the good work of the team putting all those different events together. Not only that, but even, and we'll hear the presentation tonight, even the enforcement things that happen on the 4th of July. So the teams are working on these holidays and volunteering for them, and so really appreciate them. For the air show, I think really we have a couple of staff members on the board, between Sam and Kim, who participate on the board for the air show, and that is a working board if I've ever seen one. And so those board members work real hard over those few days, and so spent many hours from them at the air show, and really appreciate their work and supporting and helping that happen. So really appreciate all the work that happens there, and the community that gets to enjoy these great events. And it really was a spectacular show last night, and really did appreciate it. And I too am in favor of future night shows moving forward. And so the one aspect of talking about the heat that I kind of want to give a little bit of update on is the cooling centers that we've had open. And I know when we talk about 100 being a great temperature, things have been a little warm. And so we did have 2 to 5 kind of folks taking advantage of the cooling center every day. And it's been open 11 days, or had been open 11 straight days, which is a record for us from having that open, and really want to appreciate the city facilities team who has to be here to manage keeping the city hall open and being a place and being flexible for when it stays over certain temperatures, that we keep it open a little longer. Just we don't want to make sure that we're taking care of folks who need the community and need to feel well. And so I really want to appreciate all the work that everybody's done over the last 2 weeks. It's been a busy 2 weeks, and so I really do appreciate all the work, and appreciate the council for giving us the flexibility and the support to do these types of events and really deliver them for the community. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Micah. If anybody's interested, my new phone took some really beautiful video of Frecci Tricolore and some really sharp photos of the drone show. I was really surprised, but they are good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, my storage is full too, with a lot of videos, so please, if anybody wants to use them.
Yeah, my nephew was there for the first time there show, and I think he recorded the whole thing. So he was very excited as going forward.
Yeah, it just kept getting better and better.
And through the Vice Mayor, if I may, the fun, of course, continues. Next weekend is the Great American Triathlon, formerly EPIs, and there will be a number of city teams and individuals. 5, I think it's even more than last year or the prior few years. So there'll be a great turnout there. And I would just say, I think that for the city manager and for all the staff, I think that staff getting together and volunteering so much for things in the city is one of the ways that you build the incredible culture of the city employees. People really work together, contribute to the city together, and that even brings them even further and further together.
Appreciate that, Adam. And I think part of I think it is about 15 people participating from city. So that's 10% of our city staff team basically is in the race this weekend. So really appreciate all the work and putting together, and good luck to them this weekend running and kayaking and biking.
Yeah, teamwork and
we have,
collaboration.
Of course, given the heat, feel free to squirt them with water guns
Yeah.
as they go by you.
We've got 3 Ironmen,
Correct?
which is just amazing.
Goals. With that, we go to consent calendar items. Consent calendar items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. Citizens wishing to address the council for any matter on the consent calendar agenda may also do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker card to the city clerk. Are there any items city council wishes to pull from the consent calendar?
Hearing none, move the calendar.
Assuming there's no public comment?
There's no public comment for items on the consent calendar.
So you have the motion?
Yes. Councilmember Terry.
Aye.
Councilmember Gatewood.
Yes.
Councilmember Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Sander is absent. Vice Mayor Pulapati.
Yes. Okay, with that, we go to consent public hearing items. Consent public hearing items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. I'm going to open the public hearing. City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment for items on the consent public hearing calendar.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing.
I have a comment.
Are there any items that the city council wishes to pull?
Well, yeah, pull it so I
And
can
then,
comment
yeah,
on it.
yeah, let's do that.
Do we want a separate motion to pull it? So I'll move that we pull this item off consent.
to if you have a comment. We just don't, we don't.
Adam?
You can, I mean, you would normally vote on the rest of the calendar and then make a comment. Or then make the comment, yeah.
Okay, so I've had this conversation with the finance department, and I reviewed the revised list. The list really was revised from the first time it was presented back a month ago. And I still have concerns about the list. The initial concern that I expressed disappeared. But when you read the list, you wonder why people, the same person with the same address appears 4 times in a row. There's a couple of places where it's duplicates for the same address and the same amount of money. It's always the same person, address, and amount of money. And sometimes it appears 4 times in a row. Sometimes it appears a couple times in a row. Sometimes it appears once on this page and another time on this page. And there's just enough error there that it makes me wonder about the validity of this list. And I realize that it comes from the service provider, so it's not a list we generate. But on the other hand, putting a lien on somebody's property tax is a significant thing. And so if these are not necessarily valid amounts, and somebody's going to have to pay them at some point, or if they ever sell their house or whatever, or if it's not, I mean, like, why does the same guy appear 4 times in a row? It's always, like I said, it's the same address and the same amount of money.
So I think, I might defer to Michelle, who's made her way up to the podium over there to
Michelle.
kind of answer some of these questions that you may have.
Michelle Menge, Finance Manager in the Finance Department.
Right.
Councilmember Budge, you are correct. We do have to rely on the data that is provided to us from the service provider. We scan the data, but we don't have access to the background information. So the best that we can do is ask questions as they come up and work with the service provider to determine where that issue was. There were some issues with the original levy. We did work with those with Republic Services, determine what those issues were, and they were removed from the levy that is provided tonight. Additionally, any payments that are made between now and when the tax levy needs to be submitted will be removed.
Okay.
And after it is submitted, it goes on the tax bill. And as customers and residents get their tax bill and they review them, if there are questions, they reach out to us. And again, we will work with Republic Services. And there have been times when we have removed levies halfway through the tax roll. So
Okay.
that is possible.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I just, like I said, it's, people probably wouldn't, the normal person wouldn't review this unless they thought they were the target of it, or they knew somebody who might be the target, and that's what happened originally. And that name and address did disappear, and I appreciate that. The fault at Republic seems to be when bills are cleared, they don't send out a follow-up bill that says you don't owe this anymore. You simply just get the next bill or something like that. I'm not sure what the process is there, but there's kind of a fault in their process. So I would just hope that since we're taking the opportunity to begin with a new provider, that we figure out a better process.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so unless anybody else has any comments, I will move that we adopt the resolution.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember Terry?
Aye.
Councilmember Gatewood?
Yes.
Mayor Sander is absent. Vice Mayor Pulapati?
Yes. So we go on to public hearing items, and there are no public hearing items on tonight's agenda. And we can move to regular calendar items. So I'll ask the city clerk to announce the subject.
Update regarding 4th of July fireworks.
Can we have Russ give the staff report?
Well, good evening, Vice Mayor Pulapati and council members. Russ Ducharme, Neighborhood Services Manager. I'm here tonight with Code Enforcement Supervisor Brittany Mariscal to give you guys a brief update on our illegal fireworks enforcement over the 3rd and the 4th. So we're just going to go over the enforcement activities on the 3rd and the 4th, and then review some of the historical data and compare it to this year's data, and discuss steps moving forward. So as Councilmember Terry mentioned earlier, it was extremely warm on the 3rd and 4th. It did have some adverse effects on some of our drone teams, but we were looking at temperatures well above 100 around 9 o'clock at night. So it kind of limits the flight time for our drone teams, but we were still able to get up in the air and take a look at what was going on within the city as far as the illegal fireworks goes. We did kind of mirror what we've done in the past few years. We did have 4 two-person code enforcement and crime suppression unit teams out there. We did increase our drone teams from 2 to 3. And then this year, we added an additional way for folks, our residents, to report any illegal firework activity here in the city through the Rancho Connect app. And we had a few people in the office processing those and dispatching those out to the field teams.
So this year from 2024, total calls for service through non-emergency Rancho Cordova Police Department, there were 111 approximately. As Russ mentioned, the new way that we opened up for residents to submit additional complaints is through the app, the Rancho Cordova Connect app, and we received 48 calls for service through that app. And then this year, which is increased over the last couple of years, the properties that we've identified for administrative citation consideration was 75 in total for all of the teams that were working on the 3rd and the 4th. And then in addition to the administrative citations, all properties that are reported of having illegal fireworks that are unvalidated or unconfirmed, meaning we didn't put eyes on it and we weren't able to verify that the fireworks were occurring at that specific address, still receives a letter educating them on the illegal fireworks and then the host liability ordinance. Within the last couple of months, we did come before council for ordinance updates, which included increased penalty amount in the amount of $10,000 for possessing or igniting illegal fireworks in parks or schools, and then also an ordinance update for increased penalties for repeat offenders. So $1,000 for the first violation, $2,500 for the second within 1 year, and $5,000 for each additional violation within the same year of the first violation. This year, we did not have any violations of those ordinances that were confirmed. So notices, administrative citations are being sent this week for in-person violations. There were approximately 25. Drone violations are being sent next week. There were approximately 50 properties identified through drone footage for potential violations. And then all properties that get administrative citations will have the opportunity to appeal, and those appeal hearings are tentatively scheduled for the second week of September. And then courtesy notices, as we mentioned earlier, those letters will also be sent this week based on the calls for service.
And that's the presentation. Any questions or discussion?
Just one real quick one. So Darcy wanted me to ask you some questions, and so we have a list of them that I'm going to get in to. Thank you, Darcy, for the list of questions. I appreciate that. Well, I have a question. Do you believe that the reason we have such a less calls this year was due to the new ordinance being passed? Do you think that set something? Because we dropped it by almost 400 calls for.
Yeah, speculating. I think there are a couple of factors, maybe the ordinance being one. I definitely think the weather was a big factor. On the 3rd, I heard, some projected numbers that about 3,000 people entered Hagen out of a potential about 10,000 tickets being purchased. So it just, in general, because of the heat, I think there was a lot less activity. The drones going up in the air, they didn't see much activity. So it's hard for me to kind of identify one thing. I think it might be a culmination of the weather and the added ordinance.
It was also the middle of the week, too. So
that might be.
People are going to work the next morning.
day.
So, I mean, frankly, in our neighborhood, it was less. Just being out there for a few hours. But we only went out there just to set off legal fireworks. But, in past years, we were barbecuing and we were outside as soon as the sun went down. And this time, we set off fireworks and we went back inside into the air conditioning because it was still that hot.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't enjoyable to be outside for very long.
It'd be nice too, this next time is with the calls, maybe demographics and areas of where the calls are coming from. So if we if we can see like the calls or we see a pattern from that, Darcy would like us to see if we can get.
It would also for the citations too.
Yeah.
Like a plot map like we do with Measure H expenditures and stuff. Like
that's what I was thinking.
This is where we saw them. Or even, I don't know if and sorry, I stepped away for a sec, but were we using ShotSpotter that night to see like what that was detecting throughout the city?
It was up and on.
Yeah.
The ShotSpotter is designed to be able to delineate between the gunfire and the firework.
Right.
If it was, a call probably was put in. If it was just a firework, I'd have to confirm with PD. But to your point of heat maps, we're still culminating some of the data. We're still working with SAC Metro and RCPD to get everything put together. So we will have a heat map for you all here shortly once we get all the final numbers put together.
Right, because then we can do
that's a really good idea. Garrett, I appreciate that.
Well, it wasn't mine, it was Darcy's. Thank you, Darcy, for that information.
Well, in our neighborhood, it was really very quiet. And, typically you can hear M80s and whatnot because you can hear them a long way away. But then I did have a report from north of Coloma that the fireworks were constant. So, it really would be interesting to see what the different locations are.
And Vice Mayor, if I may, this is something we actually routinely do is for, kind of our operating team as far as do these heat maps and kind of find out where they're coming from. So it's part of our normal operation to do that kind of work, and it's what we've always done in the past. Whether we've shown it to you or not sometimes is something we think about, but I think that's something we routinely do for any of these kind of operations, whether it's code enforcement, whether it's our police department, is to do this kind of work, kind of on a GIS basis is what we.
Why I think it's really important though, in like this case, is you're going to have a handful of people that complained last year and complained this year and go, everyone, they're all giving up on complaining because you're not doing anything about it, right? And the argument could be, we're citing people more and more every single year, and we're getting to a point where people realize, this is just one of the theories about why we may have less complaints this year, is they're now going somewhere else to set off their fireworks. Right? Is it going to be perfect? Are we going to catch everybody? No. But if they know it's going to cost them $1,000 here, or they can go over, I'm not going to give them ideas of where to go, but somewhere outside of here. I was about to name something, but I'm not. But I would just say that, like, in those other jurisdictions where they don't have as many folks to enforce or to do the work, that we're doing it here. It's kind of like my argument that I hope at some point we do talk about racing and illegal street racing, because my idea about impounding a car for a minimum of 6 months if they do that is, somebody that has a $100,000 car isn't going to be moved by a $1,000 fine. But if you take their $100,000 car from them for 6 months, they'll probably go do that somewhere else, right? The deterrent of, wow, they're really mean over there about this thing. But I will say that, we've passed, 2 versions of that ordinance so far? Like, we've ratcheted up and then changed how we enforced it and whatever. Right before 4th of July, I want to say there are 3 or 4 jurisdictions that announced like doubling their fines and doing other things. But to me, the biggest impact was when we went to that, basically, the homeowner's going to get the fine unless they point at who actually set the thing off. That just cuts down the number of people that are willing to host that stuff, even in their yard. That, like, if you let it, because it used to be, we had to see you doing it, and now if it's coming from your house, you're going to get the fine. I think that's done a lot, and not all cities are doing it. And some of them, they're just ratcheting up the fine, but it's hardly enforceable unless you do what we're doing. So this is very good news to see that a lot less people are complaining, but it would be helpful to see the data, especially to show the 111 people that did complain that think we're not doing anything, that it's actually working. This is huge. But yeah, whether it's weather or it's the day of the week or just whatever, it's working. And anecdotally, I saw less. I heard less.
Yeah. So I really thought the funniest complaint came in on Nextdoor, and somebody was complaining about the fact that how are people supposed to afford a $1,000 fine? Well, okay, guys, you just don't do it, and then you don't have to worry about it. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Like I said, I hope it was not the heat, and I hope it was not midday weather. I hope it was something that the city did, because in spite of the weather and in spite of midday week, I know Woodland Police gave more than $100,000 for fines for illegal fireworks the same July 4th weekend. So they had the same weather. So I'm going to assume we did something more in that regard.
Right. An 80% reduction in complaints is, I think, what to pay attention to. That it's that I don't care if it's weather, I don't care what time of the week it is. That doesn't cause an 80% reduction. People deciding that they're not going to do it here is what is driving that, in my opinion.
Do we have any public comments for this?
We do not have any public comment for this item.
I don't think we have any action item on this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good job. Thank Darcy for those questions, though.
And if we can post more of this, and Micah, if when you get the heat maps, put that on our website. Like, let's do a press release and talk about like this is working. So good job.
We'll go to the next topic. City Clerk to announce the next subject.
Rancho Cordova Police Department update.
We'll have the Police Chief, Matt Tamayo, give us a staff report.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members, city staff, and members of the public. Matt Tamayo, Chief of Police, Rancho Cordova Police Department. Tonight, we'd like to talk about mail theft in the city and some of the things that we've done to mitigate it. And then I brought our motorcycle unit supervisor, Sergeant Jeremy Day, with me. Longtime veteran of Rancho Cordova, has worked here in multiple capacities. And he was last year made our motor unit supervisor. And so I'll allow him to introduce himself once his portion of the presentation begins. But to speak specifically about mail theft, I think it's a nationwide issue. Starting during COVID, we saw a spike nationwide of mail theft overall. Prior to COVID 2019 timeframe, there was about 100,000 reported incidents to the United States Postal Service on mail theft. Starting in 2020, it more than doubled and went up to about 250,000. So this is something that we've seen throughout the nation.
Chief, could I just ask, sir, can you take your phone call outside? Sir? Sir? Please don't do that again.
That's all right. And so something that happens nationwide, obviously we see regionally as well. And with that big spike in mail theft nationwide, we experienced some of those issues in our city, unfortunately. And so I think to clarify the who's responsible for what when we're talking about mail theft, we prepared a slide just to explain it. So if somebody comes out to their mailbox, whether it's a cluster mailbox, which I'll talk about a little bit later, or their individual mailbox, and they notice that mail has been stolen, and there's no other damage, just the box was breached and the mail was stolen. If they call 911 or the non-emergency line, we refer them to the United States Postal Service to report it. They can do it online. You can try and get through on the phone lines, but I think that the quickest and most painless way is to do it online. And there's some resources that the Postal Service offers, and I'll explain some of those later, to research or find out what you're expecting or what is possibly missing in your mailbox. If there's a crime in progress, if somebody sees somebody standing outside their mailbox and breaching it, whether it's a cluster mailbox or their personal mailbox, that's a 911 call. That's if they choose to call the non-emergency line, they can. But we'll come out and the PD will respond to that call for service. We're not just going to say, hey, you need to call the post office. It's their post office box. We are invested in our community and we want to make sure that we can prevent people from being victims of crime, because it's not just the mail that gets stolen. It's people's identity that gets stolen. It's people's checks from grandma that get stolen. It's credit cards. It's IDs and passports and on and on and on. And so we want to do our part in addressing it. But for the specific act of stealing mail, that is a United States code. And I'll explain why reporting it to the post office is a good idea. And it'll be evident in an arrest that we made here locally. But like I said, RCPD does play a role. If we come across somebody with a bag of mail, we're going to make an arrest. If we're receive a report or a 911 call that somebody's breaking into a mailbox, we're going to go and respond to that call. We're going to document it. If we don't arrest anybody, we prepare a report, and that's shared with the Postal Service. They have a fantastic database of all mail that's stolen. It's I don't think it's an Excel spreadsheet, but it looks like a giant Excel spreadsheet, and they're able to mine that for data. And when they do prosecute somebody or present a case to the U.S. Attorney's Office, they can use all that data to create their charges and to hold that person accountable. And so it's very important that even if you suspect it's junk mail that was stolen, to report it anyway, because that will enhance the case down the road. And then, of course, all the downstream effects of mail theft, identity theft, personal loss of property, things like that, we will take the report for that as well. What we also see, and I have some pictures to share in a bit, is things around mail theft, like manufacturing keys, specific to the cluster mailboxes, as well as damage to personal property, trying to get to that mail, whether it's, I've seen more and more personal mailboxes that have locks on them, which they can accept mail, but to get the mail out, unless you have the key, you have to damage it. And so we'll take that vandalism report as well. And even if we don't make an arrest, we collect evidence, and we share that also with our Postal Service partners. Some of the best practices to reduce your being a potential victim of mail theft, there's quite a few, but I'll go through them. I think the biggest one is picking up your mail every day. I'm guilty of not doing that. My mail tends to pile up. I understand I have to walk over one house away to get to my cluster mailbox. So oftentimes I don't get to it, but it is a good idea to pick it up every day. And it certainly hopefully not, but if you were to become the victim of mail theft, picking it up every day lessens the likelihood that it will be a bill or something important. Picking up and dropping off mail after dark, I think it depends on where you're at, how well lit your street is, what you're dropping off in the mailbox, but certainly something to be aware of in case somebody were to be waiting for you to open your mailbox and then approach you. That has happened. Thankfully not here in the city, but I've heard that happening in other jurisdictions. If you're going to be gone for a long time, be on vacation, having the United States Postal Service putting a hold on your mail. One of the tools I talked about was informed delivery, which they'll let you know what was in your mailbox that day. So if you were to become the victim of theft or you were expecting a sensitive document being delivered, you would know that it was delivered that day and you can pick up your mail. P.O. boxes, the Amazon locker, security cameras, those all go to help. We did have an instance here in Rancho Cordova where a cluster mailbox had a camera on it, not the mailbox itself, but the property near the mailbox. And from that video, we were able to pull some evidence that helped in the prosecution of a subject, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. So it was very helpful. So if we can catch that area and we can get video of it, these things only go to help. If you see a suspicious vehicle in the area, please report it, let us know. Also, when we have mail theft, our officers will canvass the area and talk to the neighbors to see if maybe they could check their cameras if they have them or if they saw anything suspicious, and it will help us investigate that case. Again, please report it to the U.S. Postal Service. It becomes really apparent here in a second as to why. And I talked about this earlier, but call 911 if you see something suspicious. It's better to call and us not be needed than to not call and somebody gets their mail or property damaged. So we're talking about arrests. March 28th, 2024. So I think multiple council members are aware, as we are. We had quite a big uptick in Rancho Cordova around the holidays and then continuing into 2024 of mail theft, specifically cluster mailboxes. And it wasn't unique to one neighborhood. It was throughout the city. And we were working with the postal inspector. We were having our crime suppression unit doing some stakeouts at night because many of these incidents were happening at nighttime in an effort to locate this person. One of our alert patrol deputies responded to a call and was able to develop some information that was shared with our Postal Service inspector. And after those reports were shared, subsequent search warrants were written, we were able to arrest a subject who was not only victimizing people in Rancho Cordova, but all over Northern California, Folsom, Citrus Heights, Greater Sacramento area, and even towards the Bay Area. That specific person just pled guilty, and I'm looking at my notes just so I get it right, on June 20th to multiple counts of mail theft, and he's facing up to 30 years and $1 million fine for all the damage that person caused. And so I know there's frustration amongst the community. I've been to neighborhood watch meetings and talked to people whose mailboxes have been victimized. And I had this information long before it was published, but for the sanctity of the investigation, I couldn't share. And my advice was, hey, please be patient with us. We're working on it. And this is a fantastic example of the joint communication and investigation between the United States Postal Service and Rancho Cordova PD. We couldn't have done and completed this investigation without each other. And because of that, this person is going to be going away for a long time. And that's where reporting it to the U.S. Postal Service comes into play, because federal charges carry a much stiffer financial penalty and certainly time in jail or time in prison penalty. April 1st, 2024, our problem-oriented policing team was also dedicated to addressing some of the postal theft in the area. They were able to develop some information specifically about 2 people that were living in our community. They went and did a probation search there, and what they found was what they expected to find: some manufactured Postal Service keys, some other items of evidence, and those 2 people were arrested on the spot, obviously because we had that evidence there, and they were charged by the state, not federally, and the male subject in that case pled already, and he's in state prison, eligible for parole in 2024. And the female in that case was released the day of because she had little arrest history, and she will be, her next court date is in September of this year. So that's the difference between a federal charge and a state charge. 30 years and $1 million versus some time in prison because the male we arrested was on parole, active parole. So he went to prison, but he might be out by December. That's when he becomes eligible. So it definitely pays. It's slower pace for sure, but it definitely pays to report being a victim to the U.S. Postal Service. And so this is what fake keys look like. And so what happened here on the left is that's an actual lock from a cluster mailbox. The mailbox was damaged. They removed the lock in order to figure out how the keys worked, and then got a hold of some blanks or some metal and with Dremel tools and some basic pliers, manufactured keys that actually worked in local mailboxes. So not too much engineering, but it was easily done. And you can see there's a couple different blanks there to operate different mailboxes. So looking at the numbers, so we talked about the holiday season in 2023. We had 9 reported, and this is reported to RCPD, not the United States Postal Service. These are our numbers. And then you saw sort of a drop off in December, January, February, although it was still happening. And then I talked about the arrest in March, the arrest on April 1st, and it died down significantly, and it's sort of stayed flat. The 2 incidents in June, one of them was an open mailbox. Nobody reported being a theft or a victim of theft. So it could have been that the postal delivery person left the box open accidentally. It could be that somebody did break into it, but nobody reported being a victim of a theft. And then the other one was suspected mailbox theft. We responded. We didn't see anybody in the area, and nothing appeared to be amiss, and we didn't receive any follow-up calls. So that's it. Any specific questions about mail theft?
I don't have a specific question, but just a couple of comments. It's always struck me that if anybody wanted to invent the best way to practice identity theft, they would have gone out and invented the cluster mailbox. I mean, that is absolutely, it's just a target sitting there. And we actually, years ago, we had a gentleman who was a mail carrier actually come. The city used to have this one afternoon a month where you could come with bright ideas and share them. And I don't think Michael was here then, but anybody could come and share a bright idea. And this guy came in with his concept of how to create a sort of a shelter for mailboxes that would provide lighting and more security than there is right now. But it's always struck me that as a city, and planning left, but Public Works is still here. And it seems to me that we need to just try to make sure that our home builders, people who are developing these neighborhoods, locate those mailboxes in places where they can be more easily seen. And Tara will tell you, in Stone Creek, we've got a bunch of those locations that are really dark. There's no lights, no overhead lights nearby. They're not in somebody's front yard. They're on a side street or on a corner or whatnot. And it's always struck me that that's a mistake. They don't necessarily have to be in somebody's front yard where you really might not want one, but they can be in locations that are better lit. And it's just my feeling that as a jurisdiction, we sort of owe that to people to make sure that they're better lit than a lot of them are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, theft is generally a crime of opportunity. And it doesn't happen during the day, it happens during the cover of darkness. And you're right, the very cluster mailbox, seemingly miles away from my house that I go to, it's completely in the dark. So, we talk about crime prevention through environmental design, and
Right.
if the builders or the city or, whomever's responsible puts the mailboxes by light, it will make it less attractive of a target.
That could easily be a CEPTED suggestion also.
Yeah.
As somebody who has the mailbox right on the side of my house, because I live on a corner, and so my neighbor, we back up to each other. But the funny thing is, and I've actually gone and put lights on my fence so that people can see. So they're motion censored solar ones that you can get. I got them for like $10. And somebody came and ripped it off. Funny enough, that's how we knew that somebody broke into our mailbox this past year during that spike time. And we weren't getting mail for what, a month and a half, I think, until they got the new boxes in. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And the only two street lights close are at the corners in the front of my house and my neighbor's house, and they put the mailbox right in the middle, as far away from the light as you could. So I absolutely agree with that. But I know the reason that they did that is because there's nobody that lives on that side of the street. So there's plenty of room for everybody to park over there and go get their mail. And I know if anybody ever parks in front of that mailbox, because sometimes they do, people start putting Post-its on their cars saying that the postal service is going to give them a fine because they're getting in the way of the post, which is not true. The one thing I just wanted to point out as a banker and somebody who does a lot of financial literacy stuff, we always recommend, to prevent scams and other things, don't have important things sent to your mailbox. Don't have bills, don't have your credit cards, don't have your checking account. You can have all of that sent to you by email or through apps to where you got to put in a password for it. There's no reason in this day and age to be getting paper statements like that anymore, and you're just opening yourself up to getting that stuff stolen. And I know the IT cybersecurity guy over here would agree with me, but like the number of things, like when you talk about years and years ago, Linda, I'm old enough to remember that I had houses that, I had a mailbox in front of my house that didn't have a lock, right? I mean, the safest thing is to cut a hole in your door and have them just dump it into your house. But besides that, I mean, the cluster mailbox is an upgrade from what I grew up with, which was if you didn't check it within 10 minutes, somebody just walked by and take your mail anyway. Right. And that was back when we weren't getting, we couldn't do online statements and everything else. So there's a lot of ways to protect yourself to make sure that, like, a bunch of my neighbors were really frustrated that we weren't getting mail for a while. He was still delivering packages to our door, but they wouldn't send any letters. I didn't have a problem at all because I don't have any of my bills sent to my house. I have a P.O. box, but we're getting rid of that for now, or as of a few months from now. But I would just say that important things shouldn't be in your mail. And as a deterrent, I would just say, if somebody broke into your mailbox and realizes nobody in your neighborhood has good stuff, they'll never come back. Yeah. If all they're getting is your junk mail and the telephone book you didn't ask for, right, they may just go and find somewhere else to hit. So just keep that in mind. But thanks, this is great info. And I know this was a huge problem over the last 15 months or so. Hopefully you got the person that was the problem, or that they did. But whether it's Stone Creek or Anatolia, I mean, at any one time, I was getting emails and complaints from somewhere in the city that this had just happened over a good 6-month period there. Every couple of weeks, I felt like somebody was complaining somewhere.
And we heard it too, and that's
I bet you heard a lot more than I did too. Yeah.
Very sound advice. It wasn't on our list, but yes, thank you for pointing that out. Online service is huge, and just about everywhere does it now. And I would say the other thing on the U.S. Postal Service side, they are obviously very aware of the problem. They're looking at securing their mailboxes through electronic locks or combination locks rather than the key. So if the key were to get stolen or misplaced, it would be much more secure. But again, we all know what those mailboxes look like, and if somebody's motivated, they're going to get in. And so making it less attractive is really, I think, the biggest message.
Forget picking the locks. I mean, a crowbar and some time, and you can get into anything. And it's just sheet metal that's putting the back of those things together. Like, at a certain point, anybody can break into just about anything if they got enough time.
Absolutely.
Right?
All right.
Dark.
Thanks. This is great.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll turn it over to Sergeant Day. He can introduce himself, and I'll hand him the controller here.
All right, good evening, council. My name is Sergeant Jeremy Day. I'm a sergeant here with the Rancho Cordova Police Department. I've been on the sheriff's office for over 21 years, and most of my time spent here in Rancho Cordova, either as a patrol officer or a patrol supervisor, and now I am the traffic supervisor. Just a couple things about our traffic unit and some of the things that we've done in the last fiscal year. One is we've increased the number of personnel that we currently have in our traffic unit. It currently consists of myself, a traffic detective, and 8 traffic enforcement officers. That number is up 2 positions from last year, where we've been able to increase the number of traffic enforcement officers to keep up with the development and the population as the city has grown. And then we also have 2 professional staff and a traffic analyst and our towing coordinator that handle a lot of our statistics and our towing and our behind the scenes factors that come into our traffic unit. When it comes to traffic enforcement, we focus on the 3 E's of traffic enforcement, or the 3 E's of traffic safety. That is enforcement, education, and engineering. The top one, enforcement, is pretty self-explanatory. When we see a violation, we can take action on that violation, pull over an offender, and usually issue a citation. The second is education. Education, I do multiple times a year where I go out and speak to either neighborhood watch committees or our Citizens Academy, where I'll give a presentation and explain to them about how traffic works, how traffic enforcement works, what the laws are, and answer a lot of their questions. And the third E is engineering. Every month, I work with the Public Works Department here in the city to work on different aspects of engineering where we can make our streets a little bit safer. One of the big intersections actually is right behind us of Gold Center and Zinfandel, where we've been working to make that. We saw a numerous number of accidents that were caused by red light running. So we wanted to make those red lights a little bit more noticeable. If you know the dual head red lights on top of the post as you're driving northbound on Zinfandel. There's still some more aspects of that intersection that we're working with, but on a monthly basis, or if I need to contact Public Works, we do that often, where we'll want to talk and make the city a little bit safer through our engineering efforts. I also sit on a committee that addresses traffic calming devices in our neighborhoods. That can be anywhere from speed bumps to increased curbs to different painting schemes in order to slow folks down in our neighborhoods and make them a little bit safer in our community. A lot of what the traffic unit does is, obviously, we respond to collisions. When we do have a collision here in the city of Rancho Cordova and a traffic unit is on, we try to go there and handle it. They are the experts in handling traffic collisions. Of course, our patrol units and our community service officers will still do that in order to put together the reports. We investigate collisions. The traffic detective is responsible for any investigations that go on that are traffic related. A far majority of those would be our hit and run collisions, but he also reviews collision reports that may need more follow-up in order to complete the report for the investigation. We serve as the department's major accident investigation team. So I am on call for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where I will get phone calls for major collisions that happen here in the city. We will respond to that collision if necessary in order to make sure that it's properly investigated, to see if there's any criminal prosecution that comes from that collision, to make sure that it's well mapped, that everything is set up and diagrammed so that if we have to present something to the district attorney's office, we can for prosecution of an offender. And then we deal with traffic complaints. On an almost daily basis, I will get notification of some sort of traffic complaint. Traffic complaints can come anywhere from, we've gotten complaints from city council members that went through the chief of police and down to my desk. And then we have a tip system that through the Rancho Cordova Police Department's website, where they can submit tips and explain what their traffic complaint is. And so we will investigate that, and if I need to send out traffic officers to monitor those complaints to find out, one, the validity and the viability of being in that neighborhood and addressing whatever complaints that may be, which could be speeders or stop sign violations. We've worked a lot in different communities. Recently, we've received complaints about stop signs in Anatolia. So we've been out there often to address some of the stop signs that are addressed in the complaints. We also increase our enforcement actions through different operations throughout the city. As you can see, some of our top photographs there are from a DUI checkpoint that we held in the city. We do 2 of those a year, and we work on different types of enforcement programs in the city that I'll talk about in the next slide when it comes to our Offices of Traffic Safety grant. So in the last fiscal year, we were awarded a grant for $150,000 from the California Office of Traffic Safety in order to work on training, equipment, and then a majority of it is to funding operations where we can specifically address specific traffic complaints throughout the city, whether it be what we call a PCF enforcement, which is a primary collision factor. Those violations of laws that cause our collisions, speeding, running red lights, running stop signs. And then we will work on DUI saturation events, different collaborative operations with our neighboring cities to help them out if they happen to have an issue that they want to specifically address. Distracted driver operations, so those are those that are on our cell phones that shouldn't be while you're operating a motor vehicle, please. And we work on bike and pedestrian operations and motorcycle safety. We are currently still in this fiscal year. This government fiscal year and program goes through the end of September of this year. And then I recently received an email last week to let me know that we have been approved for another grant for next year. So what that's produced is, as we look at, these are the fiscal year numbers from 22-23 and then 23-24, we have increased the training that we do for our officers here in the Rancho Cordova Police Department in order to become more effective, increase their traffic enforcement, and make our community a little bit safer. One of the things is we've increased our vehicle stops and specifically the citations issued on those vehicle stops. And as folks can commonly see, that if you're stopped by one of our motorcycle officers, you're probably getting a ticket. And patrol obviously has other responsibilities, but they have increased their number of citations and their enforcement actions in order to make our streets just a little bit safer. A lot of that comes from increased training, increased availability. We did see kind of a lull in training with COVID, as every industry did, but we're trying to increase what they know, the knowledge of the patrol officer, their ability to enforce the laws and take action on violators. And that results. So the last fiscal year, we've seen a reduction in our fatal collisions here in the city of Rancho Cordova, where we had 9 throughout the fiscal year of 22 and 23, and this last fiscal year had a total of 5. Also, our DUI arrests have gone down, and when you have an increased number of vehicle stops, but your DUI numbers slightly decrease, that shows that our DUI enforcement programs are working. We're trying to find those drivers that are out there driving impaired and arrest them and get them off the streets so that they don't harm themselves or anyone else. In addition to enforcement, what we really like to do is a lot of community-based events. So, sorry for my picture on the left. It was really cold that day. So some of the things that we do for our community here in Rancho Cordova is we participated with part of our grants from the Office of Traffic Safety. We participated in a helmet giveaway program where we were at our 2 middle schools here, Mitchell and Mills, and we were handing out helmets to anybody that wanted one and needed one as they arrived to the school, so to make sure that they're a little bit safer as they ride their bike or scooter into school. We participate in the Santa Parade, the police activities run, where we're watching the routes. Christmas in Cordova, the bike rodeo that is held every April through the police activities lead. Obviously, we're out here for 4th of July, the 4th of July celebrations, and the California Capitol Air Show. Let me tell you, not only is it a little hot that in the summer, but if you add that being in full gear on a motorcycle, it increases the heat just a little bit. But I appreciate the weight loss program. So, and then recently we participated,
I reiterate what I told the chief, though. I really think you guys should kind of adopt the Navy look and have a set of whites.
A set of whites.
not just a black uniform, but put you in something that's white and blue or something like that for those days. But it's going to have to be bell bottoms, I think, except for maybe the motors, because that could get caught up in the week.
That could get caught up. And Mr. Terry, I appreciate that, but driving a motorcycle on our roadways, those whites wouldn't be white for very long. So
just for the parades and stuff.
One thing about the 4th of July parade that's so exciting is we write up, you folks probably saw it, we write up to the spectators there and hand out stickers. You wouldn't believe how many stickers we go through on 4th of July for the parade. And I don't want to use the term I was mugged at Coloma and Chase, but I gave out a lot of stickers right there in that little intersection. Just recently, back in April, we participated, our neighboring agency, the Folsom Police Department, hosted a motor competition, and we were able to send some participants there to represent the city and participate a little bit in the competition. I participated myself. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun. We didn't take home any trophies, but we definitely enjoyed ourselves, really liked showing our skills and something that we can do in representing the city of Rancho Cordova. And additionally, I believe I made one of our motors an addict to these competitions because he keeps asking me when the next one is.
You all didn't win, though?
No, unfortunately, we did not. There are some very talented motorcycle riders.
You've got predecessors who have won.
We do. So, and trust me, he lets me know all the time. So we're looking forward to that and continuing to represent the Rancho Cordova Police Department in the city, making our streets safer and serving this community. Thank you. Any questions?
So I would comment that we really appreciate the training in terms of stepping up traffic enforcement. We were told early on that it's quite a jump to have what is basically in California a rural sheriff's department learn how to provide routine city services in a city or an urban environment. And so we really appreciate some of the statistics that you showed early on in terms of traffic stops and citations issued.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Budge. Yes, we try to work on that.
I just had one quick comment. If you could go back to the citations.
This one here?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I just want to point out that even though we are increasing our citations, that I just want to debunk the myth that somehow if you write enough tickets, you're going to pay for us or help us make up a budget deficit or some other problem. Yes. That is a rounding error in our budgets and stuff. And the point isn't about writing more citations. The point is to enforce the law and to prevent and to convince people to behave and to follow the law, and that people complying with the law is the goal of you, and Russ was just in here from code enforcement. The point is to get people to abide by the law. And just because we're writing more tickets, where nobody's lining their pockets at City Hall or anything with these things, this just means that you're out working hard and doing your job.
Councilmember Terry, I appreciate that, and I'll reiterate that from a city manager perspective, that is not the way that we're building our budget and moving these forward. Is about the safety and security of the community. So.
Very good point. And Mr. Terry, the same thing with DUI checkpoints. Commonly, I'm approached at DUI checkpoints as the supervisor and managing these checkpoints and asked, well, you're not going to catch them. You're telling them where you're at. Well, I understand that. We do catch them. That still happens. But a big part of DUI checkpoints is the education for our drivers as they come through there to let them know, hey, this is not acceptable and you're putting yourself and other people at danger. And we want to decrease those collisions and increase the safety that we have on our streets.
Well, the time that I went out there with, I just was absolutely amazed at the number of people who don't have a valid license.
Yes, that's
correct.
Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that lacking the funds to pay fines and certain things can prevent you from getting a license, which then can make it hard to keep a job and to do other things, and people end up driving illegally. But I will say, the people that go out to and spend money drinking and then decide to drive themselves home when they could have saved maybe half of that money and paid for an Uber to get their butt home and not had this problem. I just, in this day and age, like people that end up driving drunk when you have like this thing at your hand where you can get a ride just about anywhere at any time for relatively cheap still, that industry is going to bite us all in the butt one day when they actually have to start making money. And there's, one of them left to do it. But I would just say in general that like it's so amazing to me that we still have the number of DUIs that we have with the technology that we have. But thank you for everything that you're doing. And again, this is very helpful information, but to my, the reason I brought it up, the number of people that I hear from that say that we're writing tickets to make money or to do other things, or that's why we have the red light cameras, which I can't stand those either, and I've gotten a ticket from that stuff. Just like I personally don't like those solar things that are reminding me that I'm going too fast down Sunrise, but I'm going too fast down Sunrise, and I should slow down. And so I am in the wrong, and if you caught me, you give me a ticket. And every chief of police, whenever I've ever made that joke, and like, we'll give you a ticket just like anybody else. Show them your business card, doesn't matter. But luckily, since I've been on council, I've never gotten a ticket in the city. So
Thank you,
thanks for what you're
Councilmember
doing.
Terry. I appreciate that because, people always say there's a quota that you guys need to fill. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. And
If we say, I was gonna say, if we set a quota on paying for like 2 cops, they'd need to do 10 times that. So it just doesn't work that way.
I agree with you, and thank you for the reinforcement on that, Manager Runner. Any more comments on that, colleagues? Any public comments on this, City Clerk?
There is no public comment for this item.
Can I just say one other thing? And I know I'm one of the ones that tends to want to rush out some days. This was really helpful, and I know for the last 11, I haven't brought it up probably lately, but we should be doing this more often, having reports like this. And I would also say, I know it was the year I was mayor that I asked to add the city manager as a commenter regularly after the city council. I would strongly suggest the council think about having the chief or a designee have an opportunity to spend a few minutes at each meeting to update us on something that might have come up that you just want to share with us. When you look at when you look at what the priority of this city is, we spend the most amount of money on police, period. Yet we talk about so many other things aside from that, that really we should be trying to prioritize more talking about these things and just getting the information out. So, I mean, it's a slow night. There's not a lot of people here, but there are a lot of people that were interested in what you were talking about when it came to post office stuff. And they were here and they were really interested because it was happening to them. So I would just strongly suggest that that's something that as we look at how we organize meetings, that I think it makes a lot of sense that you or somebody else just has an opportunity. Maybe you don't have anything to say, that's fine. But at least we have that time set aside for some update of something if it was to come up. And that we should do this quarterly at least or something.
I
on a
think
different
we
on
are
different
on a
topics.
quarterly program. We were here a couple months ago with
Were you?
the
Okay.
updates from some other units, and so I think that's kind of
I might have been
running
traveling,
through
maybe I missed one of
Yeah,
them.
we did
so they're
make
different
that a request for regular cadence in one of our previous council meetings, so thank you for
I
that.
must have missed the last one, I'm sorry.
And I will be thoughtful about, even on my city manager reports, I can defer to the chief on any updates at any time. And so I think
Yeah.
that's something that we can do and when necessary. So we have that probably opportunity even within the city manager reports. Chief Tamayo really appreciates it. So.
Well, thank you for being here, and I think you're going to get signed up for a lot more. So with that, I will thank
It's all
you
good
for this
stuff, yeah.
topic.
Thank you. It's great.
Thank you.
Okay, council, that was the last topic. Do we have any future agenda items?
Just one real quick. I would like to, we have some people that are now starting to sell using the trucks, food trucks around Rancho Cordova, and they're actually from Rancho Cordova. And our ordinance need to be taken a look at to really talk about how long you can stay at a place, if you get approval from the person.
Are you talking about trucks or are you talking about somebody that sets up a tent and a table
No,
and
food
a
trucks.
barbecue?
No, food trucks.
Not the one in front
Some-
of Walgreens that was taken away that a lot of people are upset about?
No,
Not
no,
that?
I'm talking about like the lady.
There's like
that-
5 of those in the city.
Well, you said-
That's not
that-
that's just the one we see.
The lady that owns the ice cream truck, there's a guy that does a taco truck now, and they're born and raised in Rancho Cordova, and they're starting their business here, and they want to, and some of the ordinances can kind of bump into each other, and so we should take a look at it and see if we can match it, see what's out there, and I really want to take a look at it.
What's the problem?
They're not, so the people are
Because they can get a
paying-
license to do it.
True, but like, let's say they wanted to set up at the Chevron over here. Our ordinance says you can only be there for 2 hours, but the person that pays, but Chevron's saying you can stay there all day. And they're saying that when you have to make a payment for it, you have to pay for the
Yeah.
whole day, but you only get 2 hours, and it's not fair. So I would just want to take a look at our actual ordinance when it comes to food trucks and just say, hey, let's just take a look at it, let's
I'd be down
revisit
to
it.
talk about that.
Yeah, I remember when we had the Star Wars Day here at City Hall, and there's a food truck, and there were people waiting in line, but they had the 2-hour limit, so they had to leave, even though there were people waiting in line for the food truck, so that's it.
Yeah, I would just comment, I think it's a great comment. This is one of those industries that's actually changed dramatically in the last 25 years. I
Last
think
10 years.
in the very beginning of cityhood, the city was concerned about, an unwanted proliferation of food trucks, and they actually had a variety of negative nicknames and that sorts of things. And so there was an attempt to look at tightening up the regulation, and then we went the other direction and loosened it up in one generation of the ordinance, and I think it's probably a good comment that it's probably due for a second generation of loosening up, as I think food trucks have become, a source of incredible innovation in the industry. They've become sort of the incubator for the next generation of great restaurants. They've become, things that really,
Also
really
become
support.
the extensions of great restaurants.
They've become the extensions of successful businesses, whether they're a gas station or a brewery or other things. So I think that, it's a great idea to look at updating and modernizing that.
That's a good
ordinance.
reminder, Adam, because, originally it was really I don't know, what do we call it? Itinerant vendors, something like that. But it had to do really with the people selling fruit on the corner. It
That's
didn't
right.
have, because food trucks had not been invented, other than what you were talking about, the typical food truck from Thies Court who showed up at the construction site.
We still have a lot of those in town, too.
We have a lot of those in town because we have a lot of construction sites. So it's a large topic. We probably the caution is that we don't want to try to address all the issues, maybe just a couple of things that seem to be problems right now.
Well, I think we're happy to, I think of the majority kind of wanting to have this discussion, so happy to bring it back, and we'll prepare a conversation to kind of let everybody know what the kind of current regulations are, and then talk about what's happening in the industry and potential options, so.
And then if I could just reiterate what I brought up earlier about sideshows and impounding cars or
Yes,
whatever.
it's on my list to talk to you about.
Okay. So I don't know if it's legal, but let's do some research, but maybe you already have. So thank you.
Thank you, and with that, I adjourn today's meeting.